Hello there everybody, my name's Hamaji. Oh boy, Lucio vs Scout. One of the most demanded videos on my channel for not too long actually. Majority of people really wanted to see this happen and I thought I'd do it. Plus, I've already taken a shot at Scout vs Tracer, why not Lucio vs Scout? So there will be two parts to this video. First one being a measurement of pure foot speed, whereas no abilities, weapons, or buffs are available to either of the characters. And then the second part being a 100-meter race, whereas all abilities, weapons, and buffs are available to both of the characters. So first of all, let's examine the Scout. The Scout is the fastest and most mobile mercenary in Team Fortress 2. He's known for running circles around his enemies as well as being a general douche. He's great at running fast, flanking enemies, and especially talking shit. The Scout is 177 centimeters tall. He weighs in at about 80 kilograms, and the Scout also has the ability to double jump, but doesn't really help him in this case. So, if you have actually watched my previous video, Tracer vs Scout, you know that I used two pieces of data, the pyro's height and his in-game percentage speed, being 133%. Basically, what I did was line up 10 pyros making 18 meters. I made the Scout run from point A to point B, then I used the distance and the time to measure the speed. Now, while I may have been somewhat accurate, a lot, and I mean a lot of people have pointed out that something called hammer units existed. Hammer units is something Valve uses to basically measure maps, speed, and just general measuring stuff. One hammer unit being 1.904 centimeters. The Scout runs at 400 hammer units a second. If we times 1.904 by 400, we get 7.616 meters a second. Bam! Easier and much more accurate. Okay, moving on to Lucio. Lucio is a Brazilian DJ, his full name being Lucio Correa dos Santos. So the only form of measurement that I found very reliable was this table made by Sprite Guy. I used this table previously in my last video and many people agreed with his speed. So why not keep using it? So in the table, we can see that Lucio's maximum speed is 7.1 meters a second with his gun set on speed. And that his speed without his speed stat boost is 5.5 meters a second. Now, I was debating whether or not I should give him the ability to use the gun because technically it is a weapon. I was kind of stuck in a debate myself, but both ways he still loses to the Scout by 0.516 meters a second. So either way, the Scout wins for the race of pure foot speed. What about abilities, you ask? Well, let's get right into it. Let's start off with Lucio. Lucio has 5 abilities: Wall Ride, Sonic Amplifier, Crossfade, Amp It Up, and the Sound Barrier. Our main focus is his Amp It Up ability, whereas his speed or health, depending on his chosen stat, is boosted by huge amounts. Lucio's Amp It Up ability has a duration of 3 seconds, a cooldown of 12 seconds, and a speed bonus of 110%. According to the table, Lucio's amp speed is 11.66 meters a second. However, using the Overwatch wiki, if we use the equation 7.1 times 2.1, which basically means plus 110%, we can find that the speed is 14.91 meters a second. So these numbers are pretty huge in difference. One is 14.91 and another being 11.66 meters a second. Now I wanted to play this as safe as possible and I decided to find the average between both. Because I can't really choose one. It could be that Sprite Guy is inaccurate or the 110% thing is wrong. Either way, finding the average is pretty simple. We just have to add up both the values and divide by 2. And then we get the value 26.57 meters a second. Divide that by 2 and we get 13.285 meters a second. Alright, next up we have the Scout. Much like the last video, we will go with the same weapon and loadout choice. But for video purposes, I will explain the loadout and weapon choice once again. So first of all, the Scout has 2 choices of weapons that grants him a speed boost. First off, the Criticola. The Criticola grants a 25% speed boost for 8 seconds. There's also the Babyface's Blaster. Now the Babyface's Blaster firstly slows down the Scout with no charge by 13% his original speed, slowing it down to 360 hammer units a second. When fully charged, the Babyface's Blaster can grant a 40% speed boost, measuring at 520 hammer units a second. 520 hammer units a second is 9.9 meters a second, which is fucking fast as hell. Now, just one thing to note, the Criticola does not stack with the Babyface's Blaster. Another factor of the babyface's blaster is that in order to charge it, you must damage other players, making it a pretty weird mechanic to measure in terms of time. So let's say he actually had to charge it during the battle. Just how long would it take to make the gun fully charged? According to the wiki, the damage required for a full charge is 99 damage. And here we can clearly see that the maximum point blank damage is 105 damage. Meaning standing right in front of the enemy, pulling the trigger, the scout could gain the full boost instantly. And as for the time it takes to shoot someone, it really depends on where the actual race is compared to where you are facing during the shot. Because if you face 90 degrees from the race, you will leave yourself around half a second worth of time wasted. If it's around 10 to 20 degrees, there's much less time. And same thing if the scout shoots with no change in angle whatsoever, there will be no time wasted. For video purposes, let's say that he does shoot someone right in front of him. The person dies and the scout continues as usual. Honestly, as much as I want to measure the time that it takes to aim, shoot and run, there realistically isn't any time change whatsoever. You could just run straight, shoot at the same time while still carrying the same momentum. But anyways, with all this data that we've researched, let's see who would win in a 100-meter race. Allow me to explain exactly why the scout won. First of all, I know a lot of you will be questioning why I allowed the scout to shoot the heavy. Well, that is because the weapon requires the damage to work at its full potential. As much as it might seem weird or unfair to certain people, I feel like this was pretty fair as we made sure all their own abilities and weapons were able to be used to their maximum potential. Aside from that, the scout's 9.9 meters a second speed allows him to overall completely outrun any character in the long run. Lucio's ability, no matter where put, loses to the scout in the long run, as his speed only grants him a short-term boost. As fast as it is, he still can't beat the scout in the 100-meter race. And Lucio's ability/weapons doesn't really require anything, but all weapons and abilities are their own. Instead of, let's say for example, the soldier giving the disciplinary action, that will mean that we are using the soldier's abilities and weapons, not the scout's. Now just to know, all measurements that were made from time were made on paper, not via the animation. So thank you everybody so much for watching this video. Please tell me if you enjoyed it in the comments, and also like the video if you did. But if you didn't like it, if there were any mistakes that you found pretty annoying or tedious, please tell me in the comments as well. And also, I cannot forget this big, huge thank you to Frac the Animator. He's amazing and so goddamn skillful at source filmmaker. Fuck, I wish I could have been that good. But yes, he is an amazing animator, and I suggest that you go look at his YouTube channel because his animations are amazing. And the Lucio scout running scene that you saw just now, yeah, that was all him. And I could not thank him enough because it turned out amazing. So thank you, Frac, for keeping up with my constant bullshit, because I'm a fucking perfectionist whenever it comes to videos. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.